CBS community, welcome back to another video here with Chris, and today we are going to be going over the first leader shown off in set 20, which is going to be Cumber. This is going to be a full archetype dive, just as well as just going over some of the cards. We'll going over every card just in some lengthy detail, but just kind of an overview of what the archetype potentially, could look like. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. As always, hit the bell for notifications so you guys don't miss a video. I will also be putting out an extensive advanced guide for Cumber, and I'll try to do that for every leader that comes out in set 20, and then just from there on Patreon, if people want to have a little more extensive content, that will be on that form of media, so you guys can check that out. Now, Cumber here is, honestly, I think it's going to be a very good leader. I know the community is sort of torn on the leader, and the rulings that will have to be, show up in this next rulebook update and Q&A for set 20 will definitely, we'll see if it ends up making the leader far better than what it is right now, or just kind of a little bit worse than where it's at. This involves a particular keyword skill, or skills, which is Overlord and Servant, and the argument of master versus owner card, or card ownership, which we'll go over once we get to some of the Overlord and Servant cards. But this archetype is very interesting. For one, it's a Black Saiyan leader that does not utilize Overrealm almost at all. There's nothing in this build, at least in the current archetype, that suggests Overrealm is a key component to the list. It's more so just a side thing, as it would be for a yellow deck or a blue deck or a red deck, where Overwhelm is sort of used as a finishing tool or just as an extra form of pressure, while other black decks have the ability of overwhelming once or maybe twice per turn depending on the leader. This leader does not focus on that. So this leader plays out a unique field spell called Prison Planet from the deck when it comes into play. Draws when it attacks, and it awakens at 4 life or less, or if you have 2 more energy and a Fu Z battle card in play, you can restand 1, draw 1, and strike life down to 6. On the awakened side, you are now Cumber, Maddening Force. As you've noticed here, you go from being the Evil Saiyan to now being Cumber. And this side, when you attack, you draw 1. Activate main, you choose up to one of your cards that you own in your opponent's battle area, and you give it Servant until the end of your opponent's next turn. Which is helpful because the draw engine of this deck is using Overlord and Servant. It's pretty generic. Honestly, outside of that, it's a very generic leader. Doesn't do too much. Well, not a lot of text on this card. Now, this is where some of the text comes in, which is going to be the Prison Planet field spell. It's a 7-drop barrier, a mono Black Saiyan card with combo cost of 1 and 5,000 combo power in your hand and battle area. Have their combo cost reduced by 1. Which you have some cards in the deck, obviously, that you're going to play in your opponent's field, and you want them to not be able to combo them, which is why they reduce it on your side. Permanent, when you're using your Fu's Overlord skill to choose a Servant card, you can also choose cards in your opponent's battle area, which is very helpful. Now, this is where part of the argument comes in, because you have the ability of giving your opponent's battle card Servant. However, you cannot Overlord those, because the effect of Overlord, your opponent's the card has to go to the owners. The owner of the skill has to also be owner of the card. So if you are using your Overlord skill on your opponent's battle card that has Servant, it would go to the bottom of their deck, meaning that the effect is not being fulfilled, meaning that it cannot happen. You don't get to draw a card. You can't activate the effect. So now if it's a card that you choose or that you placed in their battle area because you are the owner of the card, you can definitely do that. As well as somehow if your opponent steals one of your battle cards, because you'd be the owner of the card, you can give that card Overlord, you can give that card Servant, and then bottom deck it because it's going to your deck. So there are some few little things on there. Now, to the first cards here, you have Evil Saiyan Thirsting for Battle. This is a 1-drop searcher. Searches top 5 for a Fu or Saiyan card, both black and energy cost of 6 or less, or Fu, all according to plan, which is the Unison for the deck. Then shuffle your deck. This card's very interesting. So it searches at any 6-drop Black Saiyan or less, which is most black archetypes. This card's very good. Obviously, you can only use it in Evil Saiyan or Cumber, so you can only use it in this particular leader. Or else this card would be used in a lot of other decks, just being able to search out this Fu Unison, or, you know, being able to search out a 6-drop or less Saiyan, right? Which is, that's super combos, that's thwarting, that's a lot of the Overwhelm cards. You can search out everything with that. Then we have this Evil Saiyan super combo, which is the Z Energy super combo, which is what was kind of released last set with some of the decks, where if you have if you are a Z leader, or you have 2 or more Z Energy or a Z battle card in play, you can combo this card from your hand and draw a card. So this actually when this card is used in a combo, I should say, you can draw a card. And it is a strong 10k combo, meaning it's always going to be 10k. So this is nice if you have the ability of getting a battle card online early. Now your super combos are alive. This is actually probably better than using Vegeta in my guess in this deck as of right now, because you don't want to get on the 4 life. Going on the 4 life right now is just not very advantageous for some decks, especially this deck. In most black decks, you don't want to get on the 4. All right, now we have a lot of the engine cards. So we have Vegeta Against All Odds, Trunks Prisoner from the Future, and My Ace in the Hole. So Vegeta and Trunks, as you see here, both are 5k combos that cost 1 energy to combo. So these are two cards that get reduced on your side of the field with using the field spell. So Vegeta is a blocker. So there's also a counter attack negate. Negate the attack and play this card in your opponent's battle area. Permanent, if your leader is a black Cumber, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand without paying its energy cost. So what's cool about this is that this basically says that your opponent can't aggro you down early. If you awaken, you now you're now a black Cumber, and you can negate 1 attack for free every turn. Now, why this is also good is that you can end up after the turn, you can give this card Overlord, or you can give this card Servant, bottom deck it, draw a card off of it, and then you can search it back later on in the game, which will then allow you to have another negate. And it's limit 1, so you can only do it once per turn. But having a free battle card negate that's essentially like a token negate that's gonna draw you a card is really good. Obviously, your opponent can swing with it. They can do different things. They can combo it off if they so choose to as well, and some matchups may do that, but paying 1 for it's definitely not something that most decks are going to do. Trunks Prisoner from the Future. So activate main. If your leader is an Evil Saiyan or Cumber, both black, you play this card from your hand in your opponent's battle area. Then you look up the top 5, add up to 1 My Future or a Saiyan card, both black, energy costs that are not copies of Trunks, and which energy costs 6 or less, and add it to your hand. So just having another searcher. This one searches out the My and then anything else other than Trunks. And when this card is played, it's the person draws 1, and then they discard 1 card from their hand. So what this card is essentially, the auto is going to trigger on your opponent's side. So when this card is played, the auto will trigger, and your opponent will draw 1 and then discard 1 card from their hand. So it's interesting. But this is a draw 2 essentially for you. You play it on your opponent's side, you search a card, and then you can serve it and bottom deck it and then draw another card. So pretty good draw 2. And you have My, which can be played again for free. You play this card from your hand in your opponent's battle area, and you get to draw a card before it comes out. So you draw a card, and then you play this card in your opponent's battle area. When the card is played, you get to add up to 1 Super Saiyan Blue Vegito Supreme Gleaming from your deck to your hand and shuffle. Again, this auto will trigger on your opponent's side, so they will be able to search their deck for a card that does not exist, and then they have to shuffle. So that could throw off some decks, potentially. Other cases, it doesn't really do too much. But then you can also play it for 1 on your side if you want to search out the Vegito that does come in this archetype. Again, and My is essentially another draw 2 as well. So you can play it on your opponent's side, draw a card, and then bottom deck and draw another card. So it's a free 2-drop. I mean, it's a free draw 2, essentially. Then we have some of the Z cards here. So you have Cumber Captive Fighter and Fu Assembling the Strong. So Fu is essentially your main Z battle card. This card is like the lifeline of the deck. This is a Barrier Deflect Overlord, limit 1 if your leader is an evil Saiyan or Cumber, both black. And then you have a Z stack effect, which triggers when you Overlord. So the Z stack effect is a black Cumber card with a black Cumber battle card with a cost of 2. And then it says, when putting this card into play or on top of your leader from your Z deck, place up to one of the specific cards from your Z deck under this card. So this allows you to play out this Cumber for 1 energy underneath the Fu, which is cool. So you get to play out a 1-drop 15k, which when this card is played and attacks, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and it costs a 4 or less, and it gains Servant until the end of your opponent's next turn. This is cool. So another thing with Servant that people forget maybe. So Servant gives a card 10k, and also cannot restand during the charge phase. So this card gives your opponent, and most of the cards in this deck, they're going to be giving Servant to their opponent's battle cards, and it's going to last until the end of their next turn, meaning that they cannot restand. So if they already swung with the card, it's going to basically sit in rest mode, and it kind of wastes resources for your opponent, which is a really cool, it's like a weird yellow effect in a black deck. It's really cool. This Cumber card does not have any defense, and it's a little unfortunate because if it had some defense, if it at least had barrier, this card would be far better than what it is. I know it seems Bandai's trying to get rid of a lot of the counterplays. They're making counterplays more limited or just non-existent for free. And so cards like this, if this was played like 2 sets ago, having to deal with 4 Yamchas, this card would never hit the board. But now with not as much counterplay, it's becoming more receptive, and you're able to play things like this without having to have tons of repercussions. So you can play the Cumber out, and when it attacks and swings, it gives a 4 or less battle card Servant, and it's just one of your opponent's battle cards. So it doesn't have to be. It can be one of the cards that you give them, because technically those are your opponent's battle cards, or just one of their particular battle cards as well. So now we have the Z leader, which is Super Saiyan Cumber Battle Frenzy. It's a 2 specific cost Z energy with 1 black, which you have to be a 3 life or less, and a black Cumber leader. Once the card attacks, you draw 1, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, and it gains Servant to the end of their opponent's next turn. And then activate Battle. If this card is in battle, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards with Servant and use them in a combo in your combo area. Now this is really cool. So what's interesting about this is you can give a bunch of cards Servant, and then you can remove them later on in the game with this activate Battle. So if your opponent has 2 battle cards on board that have 10k combo power, you can just combo them and go up to 40k. Right? That's really strong. Another cool little thing is if you give a card Servant, and let's say the card had Servant on your opponent's turn, and they swing at you, you can actually use this effect in the activate Battle to combo with the attacking card to end the battle. It's a very small thing, and it's not going to pop up a lot. It's like how it used to be where you would use Heroine's Lineage on like a Mira or something when they go for game. The potential is there. It's not something that's going to happen quite often, but there's situations where that will pop up. Being able to combo your opponent's cards off, which then will fuel your Z energy, but also just get rid of the card on board, is really powerful. Just being able to use their cards against them kind of goes with the whole thematic of Cumber, being able to use your opponent's cards against them. It's very, very cool. It's a very, very cool effect. I wish it wasn't 3 life or less. I wish it was 4. And I wish he also had double strike or something on him instead of just a 20k. But this card does do a lot. So it is good. I just wish it wasn't 3 life, wish it was 4. Now we get to the Unisons. This is Fu, all according to plan. It's a 15k, 2 specific black, permanent while your leader is an Evil Saiyan or Cumber, both black, and you have a Fu Z battle card in play. Reduce the specific cost of this card in your hand by 1 black, making this a 1 cost 15k Unison. Alright. Then it has an activate main limit 1. Choose up to 1 of your Evil Saiyan or Cumber cards, both black and energy cost of 6 or less. It gains Servant until the end of your opponent's next turn. This is very good. So any of your Servant, any of your Evil Cumber or Evil Saiyan or Cumber cards. So you have the 2-drop, and you have the 1-drop Searcher, as well as another card in the deck that we'll go over, where you can give them Servant, and you can make some cards pretty big, being able to swing in the stuff. It's a limit 1, which meaning that you can't play this +2. Play another one +2 again. Like, you can't do that, which is fair. This is fair because you're going to be able to give there's a 6-drop Cumber, obviously, where you can give it has dual attack, and you can give it 10k twice. that'd be a little broken. So activate main -7 and 1 black energy. You choose one of your opponent's battle cards with Servant, switch it to active mode, and gain control over it. Now, this is an effect that can definitely happen. In the current format, maybe not, but it's definitely something that could happen. The fact that this is a +2 Unison is very good. Having a +2 Unison in black, this is the first one we've actually seen. Supreme Kai and Trunks and the God Trunks is kind of a +2. But this is just a hard +2, and this is really powerful. The effects aren't the best, but they just go with the deck. And the Unison is not really the key point of the deck, but it's definitely something that's going to provide value. So your opponent will want to remove it, obviously. Now we get into the big boss monsters of the deck. The first is going to be the 6-drop Cumber that we just talked about. So this is a 19k dual attacker that you can play for 1 if your opponent has 2 or more energy and a battle card in play. You can play this card from your hand. Now, when this card's played, you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and it gains Servant until the end of your opponent's next turn. And now it's a 19k dual attacker. If you use the Cumber effect here with the Fu we just showed, you can make this Cumber a 29k dual attacker, which is pretty terrifying. That's ripping down battle cards. That's swinging for life. You're taking that. That's basically a 30k, a 30k dual attacker essentially. We have the 8-drop Super Saiyan Cumber Berserker Barrage. Stay 30k if your leader. You can play for 2 if you have 4 more energy, and your opponent has 2 or more battle cards, which will definitely happen. If your leader is a Black Saiyan, when this card is played, you draw 1. Choose any number of your opponent's battle cards. Those cards gain Servant until the end of your opponent's next turn. Then you get to choose one effect. This card gains dual attack and double strike for the turn, or this card gains triple strike for the turn. Again, another just incredibly powerful card. This card does not have deflect, but God's Sealing's gone, so we don't care. But being able to play this guy, draw a card, and then just basically rest your entire opponent's board, or just keep your entire opponent's board in rest mode, is terrifying. And then you have a 30k dual attack double strike. Or a 30k triple strike. Like, this card is very versatile. It's going to be a very good black staple for a very long time. But this card is very good. It's a very, very good card. I really hope they make an SPR of this. I'm sure they will. This card's great. Then we have Super Saiyan Son Goku Berserk Instincts. This card also will probably get a SPR because it's Goku. You can play this card for 1 if you have 3 or more energy. Auto, if your leader is black, when this card is used in a combo, choose up to 1 of your cards and it gets 10k for the battle. Play this card from your combo area in your opponent's battle area. So this is a card that unfortunately you don't have the ability of controlling that auto. Once you combo with it, the effect has to go off. Or you can just not choose the card to give it 10k, but this card's still going to be removed from your battle area. Now, this is a 10k double striker, but if your leader is black, this card gets 5k, right? Yeah, 5k in Servant. So this becomes a 25k dual attacker for 1 energy that you can play when you have 3 or more energy. So it's just a 1-drop, 25k. You swing with it, and then you can end up bottom decking it later. Or you can play it on your opponent's side for a free 10k, and then just bottom deck it afterwards. So it is kind of weird because this card does play in active mode. So that's a little strange. I always kind of, when I looked at that, I always kind of thought that was weird that it's going to play in your opponent's battle area, but it is what it is, I guess. They can just combo it away, right? But these cards are really good. All of these cards are very powerful. The Goku is an odd one. But this is a very good, just a very good core. You have a very good, just generic good black cards, with some other black cards you can obviously throw into the deck and make this deck even better. Now, this card obviously is not in this set, but this is the secret rare that you would be playing for this deck because it is an Evil Saiyan. This is Evil Saiyan Malice Made Flesh. This is the best black secret rare in the game now, because you can play from your warp or your hand when your opponent has 3 or more energy. When this card's played, you get to warp a card on your opponent's side of the board. If they have 2 or more life, you get to look at their life. You get to burn a life to the warp, and then you get to play as long as it is a card that's 7 cost or less. And it could just be 1 card at 7 cost or less. Now, Then you get to play a battle card from their warp that's 7 cost or less with its skills negated for the game. And then when your opponent plays a battle card, once per turn, if it's 7 or less, you can send one of your battle cards to the warp. And then if you do, you can gain control over that card. What's nice about that is, even if that card has barrier, you can take it because this effect does not trigger on that. It just says you gain control over it, so you're not actually choosing it, which is really cool. You can end up getting around that stuff. Now, why is the secret rare really important for this deck is going to be this card here. So, Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, Supreme Gleaming. So this is a Union-Patora for free. You choose a Goku and a Vegeta. You get to send one of your opponent's battle cards to the warp, and you draw a card before you actually do the Union-Patora effect. And then permanent, you can play this card from your hand in your opponent's battle area. When this card is played from your hand, it's played in your opponent's battle area. And when choosing cards to choose with this card's Union skill, you can choose cards in your opponent's battle area to do so. So it's why you can play the Goku and you can play the Vegeta. What's interesting about this effect, I believe Union Fuse, when this card is played from your hand in your opponent's battle, when choosing cards to use with this, though the interesting thing is that Union-Patora should be on field, right? So you should be able to, you have your Goku in your battle area and you have a Vegeta in their battle area. You can simply you can play the Goku, swing with it, and then play this, use the effect of both the Goku and the Vegeta, just play it in their opponent's battle area. You get to warp one of their battle cards and draw a card. And you do give them a barrier blocker 25k. However, the other effect is, if you're, and this is for them, if your life is at 4 or more and your opponent's leader is a black Cumber, when this card is played for the turn, your opponent's evil Saiyan and Cumber card, both black with an intercost of 8, is attacking in a battle. You can't counter skill. You can't activate counter skills. So the concept of this is that you play the Vegito, you activate the effect, and then you play Cumber, or evil Saiyan. You warp the Vegito, and you get to play a card out on your side of the field. And you swing at the evil Saiyan, you can swing at the other Saiyan and do that kind of stuff. And now your opponent can't, they can't negate, which is very powerful, right? It's a very cool concept. This card is very mid. As of right now, it's very strange giving them a blocker. Again, I wish this card came in rest mode, just like the Goku. Would make these effects much better. But it is what it is. It is what it is, right? So this is a very interesting card. I definitely think it's necessary for the deck, especially in certain matchups. Sometimes you might end up siding this out, but you know, it's what it is. And again, this is kind of the concept here: is you're going to have these two Cumbers that will allow you to swing through without having to worry about negates. The only problem is that it comes in an active mode. So that's why you kind of have to warp the card, get rid of it, before you can actually swing in with these cards. Now, we have these two extra cards that were also shown off. We have Evil Aurora Overflow and then Explosion of Malice. Evil Aura is a counterplay. If your leader is a black Cumber card and you discard one card from your hand, if the battle card being played is 4 or less, play it in your battle area instead and gain Servant for the game. That's an interesting effect. It's not a good card, honestly. It's a 2-drop that pitches a card from your hand, and there's a lot of stuff that has deflect, right? So this card's not incredibly good. You're going to use there's better counterplays you're going to use, especially even for 2 energy, there's better counterplays. So this is just something you're not going to use. But Explosion of Malice is actually a pretty cool negate. So if your leader is Cumber, to get the attack, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and then gain Servant until the end of your next turn. So why this card's cool is if you are on your Z leader and there's a battle card that has triple attack or double or dual attack or whatever, right? You can give that card Servant. Yes, it gets an extra 10k, but if they do swing at you again, you can actually activate Battle and combo with that card to get off the field, which is really cool. So it's like a weird version of Time Magic. It's a very powerful card. I don't know if it's going to be something you're going to play more than maybe 1 or 2 of in a Cumber deck. We'll have to see once we actually get to testing this deck a lot. But that is what I have for you guys today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe as always. Thank you for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one.